Welcome back to the AFZ podcast. I'm your host, Zach. This week, we're talking about dragons. So I've kind of prepared a cocktail that uses bourbon, because I want to have that nice little whiskey burn. But, I didn't want it to be too strong, so I added a couple things to sweeten it up. We got bitters to go along with the bourbon, some orange juice, some rosemary and cinnamon-infused maple syrup, some bruleed oranges, and some rosemary as some garnish. This drink, I was really thinking of having a cinnamon whiskey kind of drink, but the more I looked into it, there just wasn't that much cocktails out there that sounded good. So at work, I make ramen, and there's a pork belly that we use, and it uses orange and cinnamon. So I kind of wanted to make those flavors in a cocktail, and so that's how we came across this one. So right now we're adding 2 ounces of bourbon. You could use any bourbon of your choice. I originally wanted to use Bullet, but there is some international, national kind of shipping thing going on with a lot of bourbons and whiskeys. So got fistful of bourbon. First time using it, and I'm happy with it. It's very good. Very nice. Next, we're going to add in an ounce of this syrup that we've made. Literally all you do is you take some rosemary, take some cinnamon, put it in your desired amount of maple syrup on the stove. Just let it come to a boil. Turn it off. Super easy. Super delicious. Actually crazy how good this was. And then we get a little bit of the orange bitters. Just a little splash. Don't need a whole lot. And a little orange juice, Get your vitamin C in. You don't want to be catching scurvy. Then we're going also 3 ounces of this guy. Just to round it off, fill up the glass. Add a little color, some sweetness. Orange and cinnamon goes really well together. I don't know how many of you guys have tried mixing these flavors, but they are wonderful. Ice to cool this bad boy down. Garnish our cup too while we're at it. Some ice in there. And we teleport it onto the ground for shaking. Classic bartender trick. And we got ourselves a strainer. Let's go. I don't know how to use it. I spill everywhere, but whatever. It still tastes good. We're here for the flavor, not the skill. I ain't got no skills. Just a hobbyist. Little garnish on there. That's a beautiful looking orange cinnamon or old fashioned, whatever you want to call it. Delicious. Beautiful. Seasonal. Definitely a winter drink. What's going on, everybody? This is the AFZ podcast number, was it 6?
6.
It's number 6. We got Kaleb here today.
Hey.
You might have seen him on The Command Dudes. The coolest EDH channel, I think, on YouTube is what YouTube has said before. But,
it's actually Tim YouTube called me the other day.
Yeah.
I was doing business, and he was like, hey, man, I got to tell you, you're the coolest channel around. I was like, well, I know that, Mr. YouTube. Please just send the $1 million check in the mail and stop bugging me.
Tim YouTube.
We got a production crew to pay.
Gotta pay him. Today, we're here to talk about something that Kaleb is very passionate about. What would that be, Kaleb?
Hi, I'm Kaleb. I like dragons a lot.
We're going to be talking about dragons today. So, before we hop into that, hopefully you guys saw the drinks we made. Today, we're going to be having 2 drinks. Because Kaleb told me when I was trying to prepare this with him, he said I take my cocktails with a shot on the side or extra whiskey. So here we are. We got 2 different whiskey drinks. Nice little shooter. And we got some cocktails. This ain't no shot drawer. This is a cocktail drawer. So we got the shots on top. We're going to start
shots,
off by
and
doing
these
a
are Dragon's Breath?
These are, I think it was supposed to be Dragon's Blood. The store was out of literally everything. So we may do.
Alrighty.
Cheers.
Cheers. Yeah, that's no blood. That's the breath. That's
You
spicy.
hear that knock?
Oh,
I think we got some cocktails.
I'm so glad we imprisoned those elves in this drawer to make these cocktails.
Elves deserved it.
Yeah, we just stuck them in there.
There we go. So, guys, talking about dragons. I don't know anything about dragons and magic, really. It is something that I have not spent a lot of time looking into the lore of magic at all. And, there's just one thing that's been on my mind, Caleb.
Okay.
What do you think is the sexiest, hottest dragon out there?
Tiamat.
Tiamat.
Yep. No question. No questions asked. I've been a D&D fan all my life. I've been running a D&D campaign centered around Tiamat for almost 4 years now.
Okay.
When Adventures in the Forgotten Realms came out, that's why I made the Ur Dragon deck. It was going to be a Tiamat deck because she's my other girlfriend. Sorry, Nana. And then I just didn't like her as the commander because I wanted to keep her safe. So she's in the 99.
The alternate art on that card's really cool, though.
Yeah,
I really like that
it's.
one.
I'm still looking for that. It was like $80 for a while. So
It's insane. Have you seen like the weird print of that set? That's like it has like the D&D
logo
symbol on it.
Yeah.
Those cards are so expensive.
It was only premium game stores that got them, and since we don't live in a big city, it was impossible to get.
Premium yet.
Yeah, we're not. I mean, with Tim YouTube talking about us so much, Wizards of the Coast is basically just going to let us spoil all of New Capena. I can see it.
I can see it.
Yeah, we're just going to get all of them.
Yeah.
And Mr. Bevers can have a card too. He's cool. Kingdoms, they can have a card. Anyone who's associated with us.
Neo Royal.
There you go.
So this kind of you talked about D&D. One of your favorite characters being Tiamat, and that is a very lore-driven kind of world and game. I feel like people put a lot of time building their own kind of world so their friends can enjoy it. What dragons in Magic have you enjoyed learning about? What are some of the best like lore driven or lore deep with lore kind of dragons in Magic?
So the cool thing about Magic is pretty much if you look deep enough, anything that is a legendary creature is going to have a lot of lore about it. You have to kind of piece it together. I have a top 3. So number 3 is the one, the only Dragon Lord Silumgar. Just love the design.
What's that card do? I'm trying to think of it.
So I actually don't.
Is it the blue-black one?
So Silumgar's the blue-black one. The copy of him that I run is Silumgar the Drifting Death, which is not the legend, or it's the legendary creature one, but it's before he becomes. Hold on, I'm looking up.
Cool thing.
So the plane of Tarkir is really interesting. So Tarkir is the plane where Ugin goes after he grows up on Dominaria.
Okay.
And Ugin, his magic is so potent that he creates these elemental tempests. So like the card Dragon Tempest, you can see it in the art. Dragon Lord Kolga and her brood are currently coming out of the storm, but these tempests cause dragons to come to life fully formed. So Dragon Lord Silumgar and all of his brood come out of the tempest fully formed. In the first timeline of Tarkir, they're killed by the Sultai clan. The Rakshasas, the Nagas, and the humans of the Sultai clan ally against him, and they kill him.
Okay.
So he doesn't become a dragon lord specifically. He doesn't become an elder dragon. But then there's a second timeline for Tarkir in which Sarkhan Vol goes back in time to Dominaria, fuses Ugin's essence back together, and brings him to Tarkir. He becomes the soul of Tarkir.
Okay.
And
Sarkhan becomes the soul?
No, Ugin becomes the soul after Sarkhan brings him back.
Okay.
And then in that timeline, the Nagas and the Rakshasa of the Sultai clan are insulted by the humans. So they end up going to link up with Dragon Lord Silumgar.
Okay.
He becomes dope as hell. I actually got the card up right now. Dragon Lord Silumgar is 4 blue-black for a legendary Elder Dragon, flying Death Touch. When Dragon Lord Silumgar enters the battlefield, gain control of target creature or planeswalker for as long as you control Dragon Lord Silumgar.
Pretty messed up.
Pretty good stealing card. He runs a Dimir-style guild, doesn't have a whole lot of living subjects, but he has like so many like undead subjects. because he's a necromancer dragon.
Okay.
And then another interesting lore fact about him, Teskier, I think I'm saying that name right. Might be saying it wrong. Tell me if I said wrong in the comments. Actually, he's one of the Khans of the Sultai clan, and he betrays them and says, hey, I'm going to work with you, Silumgar. And Silumgar's like, great, wipes out the Sultai clan or claims victory over them. And then the Khans, his reward is to become Silumgar's pet for the rest of his life, so he can just lord over him. And then obviously dragons have really long life.
Yeah.
So his pet dies before him. The Khan dies. And Silumgar's gotten attached to him over the years. So Silumgar has his body embalmed and wears the dude as a necklace.
What?
Like so in the card art of Dragon Lord Silumgar, you can actually kind of see it there up on his neck. He's got a dude he's wearing as an amulet. Yeah.
Play.
And then Silumgar also, he's a fat, like, python face dragon, which you don't see a whole lot. A lot of magic dragons are the proto, like, European style. So he's got a cool design, great lore. All of his card iterations are awesome. Silumgar the Drifting Death is one of the best cards you can run in a dragon tribal, because it gives creatures defending player controls -1/-1 for every dragon you've attacked with this turn.
Yeah, I mean, that could be a ton.
It's a big board wipe. Use it a lot in Dragon. So
Yeah, you got, what's that one that when you attack you make dragons and stuff?
Udvara,
too?
yeah.
That would be
Udvara,
just
Lathless.
devastating.
You can create some problems real quick. So he's number 3.
Before we hop into number 2, what do you think about this cocktail?
It's pretty solid.
Yeah.
I've been talking, so I haven't had as much time to drink, but it's good.
It's pretty sweet.
Yeah.
The syrup came through a lot, but I mean, it's very enjoyable.
Sweetness is a lot of the whiskey cocktails I drink aren't typically sweet, so it's refreshing, especially when you're sitting down for a conversation.
I think this would be like a good you're camping.
Yeah. By the fire.
By a fire. It's a very good end of the day kind of drink.
Hunting dragons out in the woods.
Hunting dragons. Yeah. Anyway, so let's continue on. What's your number 2 favorite?
Number
lore
2
dragon?
is Niv Mizzet. So
I know absolutely nothing about Niv Mizzet.
I
know nothing.
So Niv Mizzet is the last of the great dragons on Ravnica. At the beginning of the plane, there were a lot of them. He essentially hunted them all down and defeated every single one of them.
Was there a reason?
Supremacy. Dragons are always gonna look for just to be the only thing in charge.
Okay. All right.
The story's not super clear. But yeah, they either all died out or he took them out. He is the last great dragon of Ravnica. A lot of people think it's possible he's an elder dragon. He might be like everything.
So what makes an elder dragon?
Elder dragons usually
a time span thing, or
it's
is it
it's
dominance
it's
thing?
it's a time span. There's no firm depiction. A lot of the elder dragons are direct births of the Ur-Dragon.
Okay.
Strixhaven, those elder dragons, we don't explicitly know that they're elder dragons.
Don't they say elder dragon?
They do say elder. We don't know that they're
From
the Ur-Dragons. They're just old.
Okay.
But there's a
So
lot
it's
of
a loose term.
right.
Okay, like a respected kind of dragon.
Exactly. So like the elder dragons of Tarkir were born of Ugin.
Okay.
So they're not like Dominaria elder dragons. But I don't know. It's a kind of loose, weird term. Basically just means they're old. As far as I can tell. Niv Mizzet, some people think he was born directly of the Ur-Dragon. It would make him much, much, much younger than all of his brethren, though. So, like, Bolas, Ugin, Palladium Moors, those Dominaria dragons are, like, the beginning of time old, whereas, like, we have Niv Mizzet's exact age. He's 16,768 years old.
Why is that a fact?
It's something you can find. That's how old he is. Likely the progenitor of all of the dragons on the Utvara preserve, so like Utvara Hellkite. He is the progenitor of hypersonic dragons. So like he made dragons by cloning pieces of himself and just made an army of dragons that are like simple and aren't as smart.
Sounds pretty evil.
He's a dragon.
Thing.
He's a dragon. Yeah, he's definitely got some evil scientist vibes going on with him. Like a lot of the stories where it's weird though because he's not like an evil scientist. Like, oh, we have to do all this evil. He's like an evil scientist bureaucrat. Like, there's a story in the Ravnica block where Ral Zarek is helping Jace and trying to like throw Niv Mizzet off his trail, because Niv Mizzet is creating something called Project Lightning Bug, which is the 1,000-Year Storm. That's what the card is. And it's supposed to detect extraplanar entities coming into Ravnica. And so Ral Zarek, like, it's his life's work, and he like intentionally screws pieces of it up to like confuse the Firemind. That's Niv Mizzet's title. And Niv Mizzet just takes away his funding. He's like, this isn't good research. You fuck you. Like, you're off the project. Like, so yeah, he's a cool dragon. He's very like kind of got an evil vibe to him. Does a lot of calculating.
My impression of him was that he was like the leader of the Izzet Guild.
He's the leader of the Izzet Guild.
So that's right.
And near the end of War of the Spark, he actually does have a really like good guy split. So Jace, there's something in Ravnica called the Guild Pact, which is something that all of the guilds sign. It's basically a set of rules. We're all going to agree to do it this way.
Okay.
The Guild Pact, after 10,000 years, dissolves, and then Jace Beleren for a while becomes the living Guild Pact. Which no one is happy about because he's not from Ravnica. They're like, what the fuck? You're not one of us. And then there's a whole thing with a maze. That's when Jace becomes the Guild Pact. Niv Mizzet's killed in War of the Spark. Bolas kills him. And then he's reborn as the living Guild Pact. So like they bring him back to life, and then he attacks Bolas, which allows, I think it's Kefnet and Oketra, which are Amonkhet gods. Yeah. It allows them
like
to...
gods, though, right? They're like...
They are the gods. Planeswalkers in Magic lore are sometimes stronger than gods.
I was just under the impression that they were created by Bolas.
No, Bolas breaks the entire... He kills all the gods and then remakes them in his own image.
Okay.
So,
gotcha.
Yeah, he remakes Oketra and Kefnet as like Eternals, which are like the blue... the blue skin things.
The zombie things.
Yeah. They have Lazatep plating, which is a whole nother conversation we could have at another time. But yeah, Niv Mizzet is cool. Towards the end, when we last saw him in Ravnica, he's the living Guild Pact. So he like kind of presides over all of Ravnica. He gives Kaya, Vraska, and I can't remember the last person, but he basically gives them all missions. Like Kaya's supposed to go kill, I think, Liliana. Vraska is supposed to track down Dovin. And then those two, they say they killed them, but they didn't. Vraska was able to take Dovin's hand, and Kaya was able to take the chain veil from Liliana. And then I forget who's supposed to go after Tezzeret, but that dude's just straight up like, yep, didn't kill him. The other two are like, no, we definitely killed our marks. And the
no, Tezzeret's still messing things up right now.
Hey, Tezzeret's still alive. So that's all that. And so that's Niv Mizzet.
And I want to see a Vraska card soon.
That'd be cool.
I've been missing out on. I like Vraska. She's super cool.
I think we could see. So here's the thing. We haven't seen a lot of the Planeswalkers. I'm trying to think. The only Planeswalker we've seen since War of the Spark, and I could be wrong here, but we saw Liliana as Professor Onyx because she escapes.
Which is like an alternate timeline, right?
No.
Oh, okay.
She escapes. She escapes to Strixhaven, assumes a different name.
Okay.
I think she calls herself Professor Seraphine Onyx. And then after the events of Strixhaven, she's like, I'm still going to be a teacher, but by the way, I'm Liliana Vess.
Okay.
But she's in Strixhaven right now, kind of dealing with the fact that Gideon took her curse from her and then ended up dying. She is having a hard time reckoning with that because she's become a better person. Yeah, nothing. I don't believe anything in Magic. The only alternate timelines are the alternate timeline of Tarkir and then the Time Spiral Crisis, which was on Dominaria.
Gotcha.
I think. Could be wrong. I am a noob lore learner. There's a lot of really great channels if you want to go learn about the lore. It's an amazing lore. Go check them out. Lorebrarians is great. I think
the one with the bald dude with the mustache that just like tells you the stories. I love that guy.
Yeah. So that's Lorebrarians is very. I think Aether Hub is the bald guy with the mustache. I might be wrong there. If that's not your channel, I'm so sorry. There are so many channels I watch.
I'll put the links to the ones that we enjoy. That's like I'll fall asleep to that kind of stuff sometimes.
Yeah.
I'm just like, all right.
It's like all I listen to at work.
Number
one best lore dragon is kind of not a dragon, but kind of is Okagachi, the Vengeful Kami. The original Kamigawa block is one of the coolest lore stories ever. Essentially, you have Lord Kanda of Iganjo. He goes, hey, I want to be immortal. And then
as rulers do.
yeah,
As rulers do.
and then Kami, called Mochi, Kami of the Moon, tells him, "Hey, you could go steal a part of a god, then you'd be immortal."
Fat dude?
Yeah, little fat dude.
The
Yeah,
little fat guy.
Yeah,
and
he's
gets all up to him.
Yeah, he tells Lord Konda that like he can do it.
What do they say in Elden Ring? You pudgy ones are not worthy. Or something.
Hey man,
He did it.
he's a fat king.
All right, so he convinced him to go steal.
He convinces him, and then the Moon Folk also play a decent part in it because the Moon Folk want to see a war happen because they want to see the Surface Folk get wiped out.
Interesting.
Because they think they're just better.
Yeah.
They're pretty cool. But anyway,
I always hate the races like that in like stories and stuff like that. Like high elves are usually like that in like other things like
high elves and like
shit
Skyrim. We're like, we just rule. It makes it fun to sneak in and take them out. You're like, haha, I win.
Yeah.
But yeah, Takeshi Konda goes and he does a ritual which allows him to step into the veil between the spirit realm and the mortal realm. He steals a piece of divinity from within the veil, which the veil is actually Okagachi's body. He basically lets Kami in and out of the spirit realm. And so when Okagachi wakes up, he's like, where the fuck is my thing? And from then on, it's called That Which Was Taken. He basically tells all the Kami, go fuck up the mortals until they give me back what's mine. Even shows up himself at some point. He even sicks the Myojin, which are like the strongest spirits on the people.
Know that about him.
The Myojin of Night's Reach actually at one point during the Kami War is able to planeswalk. So it tries to keep the war going that entire time because it's like, I want to explore other worlds, and if this chaos goes away, I'm not going to be able to leave. And then
does it leave or what happens?
It travels to other planes. I can't remember which ones right now, but it is able to planeswalk, but it's still tethered to Kamigawa. So basically, if the chaos of the war dissipates, then more or less it's gonna be brought back.
So it's probably like its god powers or whatever, its kami powers are based on like chaos or something, and when it gets super chaotic, it is ramped up, kinda, or
I would think so. I don't know a whole lot about that specifically. It's part of, but like
sounds pretty complicated.
The Myojin of Night's Reach is part of like the Bolas story. It's part of the Umezawa story. It pops up in a bunch of other people's like little things that are going on. But yeah, Okagachi just goes absolutely apeshit. He's my favorite Lord Dragon, not necessarily because of any one thing he does, but because like the story's just so cool.
Yeah.
You even get like the 5 Kami dragons that exist on the mortal plane fight against him. A lot of them die during the process.
Why do they do that? So like they have relationships with humans.
Yeah, so they have. So I think it's Ryusei is like the patron of the mountains, and like the Aki, which are the goblins on Kamigawa. Jugan, which is he's like the patron of the forest. He like protects the snake people.
Okay.
And then there's Keiga, who protects like wizards. Her whole thing is, or his whole thing, I can't remember. Its whole thing, their whole thing is the pursuit of magic and knowledge.
Okay.
The Kokosho is the guardian of the swamps, and then the people really don't have a protector, but Yosei kind of takes that over during the war.
Okay.
And so a lot of them are killed, but I don't know. It's just a really great story. There's no way we could go through it in this whole video, but definitely look up the story of Kamigawa. It makes Neon Dynasty make a lot more sense.
Okay.
Because you like understand, like Spirit Sister's Call is that card is all of the Kami being reborn.
Okay.
Into their new iterations, which I can't remember any of the new ones, but
it's still pretty new. It's like a week old or something.
Yeah, not very old at this point. Yeah. So yeah, those are the best 3 Lord Dragons. Honorable mention to the Ur Dragon. It's not really an important figure in any story other than like Like
mom of the
it's
important
the
dragons.
mom of all the important dragons, the progenitor. It's like Arcades Sabbath, Chromium Rule, Palladium Mors, Ugin, Nicobolas, Moravius Sol are all like these huge like dragon names on Dominaria, and she was just like they were just like floating over and went, ha, flapped its wings, and all of those dragons came out like fully born.
Yeah.
It's super cool.
Do you think, if this happened, do you think that there is any dragons that could stand up to the Ur Dragon?
No, but that's like the Ur Dragon doesn't.
Probably no reason to, but
There's no reason to, and also it wouldn't have any reason to really come into fight because the Ur Dragon is a force that exists within the Blind Eternities. So it exists between planes, and just kind of its wings stretch across every single plane at once. And like when it like beats its wings, worlds end and are reborn.
okay.
So it's just kind of like a
There's no way.
yeah, it's just kind of like it's an all-encompassing. It's like can you fight the vacuum of space?
I'll try.
I'll give it an attempt.
I'll pour a nice cocktail.
I'll have it on the show. Well, vacuum, you're here. Oh.
That's what we'll call Matt, the vacuum. All right, so I went through the top lore dragons.
Yeah.
Now let's take a deep dive. We mainly play Commander. We are a Commander channel.
That is true.
Let's talk about some commanders. Let's talk about some dragon commanders. What are some cool ones? What are some of your favorite ones? Let's say maybe the top ones. If you want to build a dragon deck or you want to build around cool dragons, what are we looking at?
Interestingly enough, I don't run any of the. Well, I run one of these dragons. I did a top 3, but it's technically top 4 because I think the 3 spot is shared. Okay. Third best commanders in a tie are either Klauth or Ramos Dragon Engine. Klauth the Unrivaled Ancient gives you a whole bunch of mana to make big spells.
Klauth is insane.
You can double up your mana.
And Klauth itself is a very big dragon, right?
Yes, it's a 4/4 when it starts attacking.
No, I mean not in the game, but like in lore related. Like he doesn't look that big in his picture, but I've been told that in D&D he is massive.
Yeah, if you're watching this at home right now, type into Google Klauth D&D statue. Klauth is the size of a city. Like there's a statue that I like if I ever win the lottery, it's the first thing I'm buying. It's like a $13,000 statue. It's the size of like a Christmas tree.
Oh, okay.
But it's Klauth just wrapped around an entire city, like crushing it. Yeah, he's massive. He is the oldest dragon, I believe, in Forgotten Realms lore. Okay. And he's just like, if Klauth shows up, you just kind of pray. you don't do anything. You just kind of lose. Okay. He's like I think they statted him at one point, or a fan statted him. It was like a CR 26, and you can only get to CR means that a party of 4 adventurers at level 26 could take him on, and it would be a fair fight. Okay. You can only get to level 20. Oh, okay. So he's kind of just one of those like, don't fight this. Like, yeah. But yeah, there's Klauth. He gives you tons of mana. You know, you get big red and green creatures. Problem is, you are stuck in Gruul, so you don't have as many of those big fun spells.
Got some big smashy creatures.
Yeah. Oh yeah. You're gonna be doing like a lot of creatures if you're running. Or
you can do
Klauth.
the big burn spells.
Yeah, I was gonna say Crackle with Power or something like that. That would make sense. And then in the same spot as Klauth, I think is Ramos Dragon Engine. Okay. You're in 5 color, so you have a lot more options. And if you cast a lot of 5 color spells, you basically can create 10 mana every turn because he can remove 5 counters on him at instant speed to create double Wooburg, which is huge. I use Ramos in the Ur Dragon. I use Ramos in Joda. Both as 99s, but great commander. So those are number 2. I think, or those are number 3 respectively. Number 2, I think, is Corvold, Faith Cursed King.
Corvold's pretty nasty.
Very strong powerhouse dragon. You have to sacrifice to bring him in, which means the second you sacrifice, you put a 1/1 counter on him and then draw a card. And now every time you attack, you sacrifice a creature, you're putting a counter on him, drawing a card. If you double that up with effects that, like, if you sacrifice a treasure token, all right, you put a counter on him, you draw a card. So you create a lot of, like, treasure generation, token generation, and you can sacrifice anything. So you can sacrifice your lands and then just bring him back with other creatures. He's just a consistent value engine commander that can get real out of hand real quick.
What would you say is the best card in the 99
of
a Corvold deck?
Glimmerbairn.
Glimmerbairn, of
Glimmerbairn.
course. Of course.
He is my secret win condition.
He's the only one condition.
Yeah. I refuse to win with Corvold. Glimmerbairn is just, it's such a fun, wonky creature. He's like a 2/2B, but every time you sacrifice you sacrifice a token, right?
Yeah.
And he gets +2/+2 till end of turn, so you can make him like a JoJo stand by the end of it. You can just like, hey, I'm going to sacrifice all of these Scoot Swarms, right?
And Corvold.
I mean, if no one's going to stop you. Well, and Corvold gets big at the same time. Yeah. So I think Glimmerbairn's just one of those cards that, does he make sense to run? No. Is he the most fun? Yeah. He's a fun sack outlet to let you draw like as many cards as you want. Although if you can win with Glimmerbairn, you probably could have won with Corvold a long time ago.
Yeah,
so
100%. Before we get into the last one, number one commander, let's take another shot.
We got to take another shot. We have to do that.
I'll go
Interlude.
And we'll pour one out. Alrighty, we are back. We got our shots ready to go. Before we hop into this last number one.
Goodness, mine's so full.
Yours is very full.
Very full. I'm a very full boy. I'll try not to drip it on any of the equipment.
Cheers to everybody. Chin chin for those in France. Salud.
Salud. Skull.
What is it? What is the Chinese one? Kampai. And then
what's Japanese?
Kampai.
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 All I know is cheers, salute, and skull.
Skull.
That's I think
Danish or something.
It's Danish. It's
sounds Danish.
I read it on a bunch of you know what? I actually, if anyone's a Dane or a Nord out there, I'm really sorry. That actually might not be accurate at all.
I'm part Danish.
It's
not really from there or anything.
It's in Vikings. And I've seen a few people do it on Instagram stories from those areas. I'm assuming I am not well traveled. I play Magic and stay inside a lot.
Skull.
Yeah.
Awesome. Before we get into your number one, I got an honorable mention.
Honorable mention commander.
Prosh. I don't think people give Prosh the credit that he is.
They don't.
He used to be, I think, like in the olden days of EDH, he was the menace. He was like the most OP commander because he keeps on making those kobolds, and then kobolds, whatever they are. And the Corvolds. And you one-shot people so easily in that deck.
Yeah.
They kill Prosh. All right, I get more of the little 0-1 guys. Now I sacrifice them. I hit you for 30.
Yeah.
He hits you so hard.
He's a powerhouse. He doesn't, but you're in Jund.
Okay.
So you can easily... I don't hear. I can look it up.
Yeah, he's got flying. Does he have trample? I feel like he has more than one.
Let's see. I'll type in Prosh.
My buddy in Japan, one of my old coworkers when I was teaching abroad, he had a Prosh deck, and that thing slapped. And he would play down so he wouldn't just slap us every time. But if he wanted to, he could have beat us every single game. I feel like it was a messed up deck.
All right, yeah, he is only flying.
Only flying.
3 black red green. When you cast Prosh, a Sky Raider of Care, create X01 red kobold creature tokens named Kobolds of Care Keep, where X is the amount of mana spent to cast Prosh. So you're going to make 6 on the first one, but with commander tax, you'll make 8, 10.
Keeps on going up and up.
And you're in green, so you can get to that absurd amount of mana.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
He is a house in my Corvold deck. He immediately gives me 6 things to sacrifice, and
likewise, reverse the situation if
Corvold was in your Prosh deck. Yeah, they synergize so well together.
So well. They're awesome.
Really, really great cards.
And Jund's just cool. You got Jund
is Jund is. I like 5-color decks. I like mana fixing. I have a lot of fun doing it in the early game. But I think if someone was like, "Hey, pick a 3-color combination," it would either be Grixis, so Wet Rakdos, or Jund Lumberjackdos.
Lumberjackdos. That's what we've decided on.
But I think Jund is really fun because you have access to so much mana. and you can kind of force those bad sacrifice situations, which I know in some pods are really toxic. In our pod is funny as hell because I hate you all when we're playing. It's we're out for blood. Prosh is great. That's a really good one.
He is a really good one. I think not a lot of people play him anymore, but he is
he's solid. Someone build a Prosh deck.
Yeah.
Let me see what it looks like.
Come mess us up.
Yeah. Come
all right,
fight
Kaleb,
us.
What's your number one dragon commander?
My number one dragon commander is Scion of the Ur Dragon. Not the Ur Dragon itself. My Ur Dragon deck would be infinitely stronger if I just put the Ur Dragon in the 99 and put Scion at the helm. You pay...
Scion, you just like cheat in a bunch of dragons, right?
No, so what you do
is...
is...
in the hand?
Here, let me look up its exact text.
Let's check it out.
Scion... Yeah, so the reason Scion, I think, is a lot better. So you're paying Wooburg for its cost. It is a flying 4/4. It has 2. Search your library for a dragon card and put it into your graveyard. If you do Scion of the Ur Dragon, becomes a copy of that card until end of turn, then shuffle your library.
So you become the Ur Dragon.
You can either become the Ur Dragon, or what's more important is basically the second you have Scion out, as long as you know what your dragons do, dragons are such a varied creature type that you have an answer to every situation.
Yeah, you do.
So you can, once Scion of the Ur Dragon has been out for a turn, okay, let's say I'm struggling with mana. All right, I am going to have it become Old Gnawbone. Okay, I am Old Gnawbone now. I'm going to attack. I'm going to get 7 treasures. It's going to let me cast some stuff. Oh, I still don't have enough mana. Okay, this turn I'm going to have it become Clouth. Okay, now I've got enough mana. I'm going to cast some gnarly draw spells. I'm going to draw everything out. Okay, next turn I'm going to play a couple dragons, and I'm going to have Scion of the Ur Dragon become a copy of the Ur Dragon. I'm going to attack with 3 dragons, draw 3 cards, put 3 permanents onto the field for free. Yep. It's just a much faster version of the deck.
Okay.
And
it's a toolbox.
It's a toolbox. You can Scion of the exactly. I mean 7 total because casting costs. Yeah. But I think if you're gonna build a CEDH dragon deck, you don't build it around the Ur Dragon because it's only discounting your dragons once. You have to pay 9 mana to get it out onto the field. Yeah. If someone kills the Ur Dragon, oh shit! Now I have to pay 11 mana. I mean, you are in green. You can ramp a fair amount, but Scion is just so much faster. And then you run a Reanimator sub-theme. All the enchantments that persist things out of the graveyard, you bring them all back. You run Bladewing the Risen.
Great card. Great dragon.
Yeah, amazing dragon. Tofu, one of our Patreons, has a really cool Bladewing the Risen deck that is, Reanimator focused. So you just take a lot of the things that you would put in a Bladewing the Risen deck, bring your dragons back, and then you run, because you're in 5 color, you can run something disgusting. Most dragons are legendaries, right?
Yeah.
So you run Eerie Ultimatum. You run Primeval's Glorious Rebirth. You run all the things to get your legendaries back, and you can just stack your graveyard. And if in a Scion deck, because you're not reanimating often, people aren't going to think as often to graveyard hate you. And so you get this huge graveyard, and then all of a sudden when you're ready to go for the win, you just go, hey, Primevals, and then you have something that gives things haste. There's so many. Rhythm of the Wild would be a great one.
Yep.
And then you just fly over everyone because there's not enough flying in 90% of decks. Yeah. It's still one of the best keywords.
You're probably also running all the red draw spells that you draw this card, the blue ones too. Mm-hmm. So that feeds into the Reanimator.
Yep.
You can run Anger, doing that kind of stuff, and you just have
Fire Emancipation.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa, I don't
do
think
some
we need
nutso damage.
I don't think we need to be talking about that card. Dragons do enough damage. You don't need to triple it.
Yeah, just for fun. Gratuitous violence. Savage beating.
Alrighty. So we've talked about lore dragons. We talked about commander dragons. I think we need one more shot.
One more shot? All right.
Before we hop into this last category, we're going to pour it. It might get a little risky in here.
Little messy on the set. Pouring live.
Wait, don't say that.
Pouring live. Sorry. I'll enunciate better.
Don't want Matt getting too
That's not the content you came here for. It's the content you're getting.
It worked out this time, guys. Don't pour your cocktails into
a mason jar. Yeah, that's what you get for being a hipster. Alrighty.
They look cool.
Let's cheers.
Cheers.
Boom. For Dragonkind.
This shot shooter thing is delicious, by the way. It's I don't know, pink Jolly Rancher.
You were doubting it.
I was doubting it. I thought it needed the cranberry, but blueberry, lemonade, just as good.
Blueberry.
Alrighty. Our last kind of subject I want to go over is we're just going to talk about some pocket picks.
Pocket picks.
Commanders are great. Everybody loves playing with your commander. Commander's the identity of a deck. But, you need some little juicers inside the deck. Maybe you have been looking. You built a dragon deck.
Mm-hmm.
You built a couple dragon decks, I guess.
Yeah.
What dragons do you think maybe people overlook when they're building a deck? That's my idea of what a pocket dragon is.
Yeah. So there's a couple. I think
dragons.
I think if you are, first of all, just an honorable mention, if you're not building a dragon deck but want to have a dragon element in your deck and your deck creates a ton of tokens and you're in blue, Day of Dragons is a really fun card.
Is that the board clear?
So you exile, I think it's 4/3 blue. You exile all creatures you control, and you create that many 4/4 red dragons with flying.
Yeah.
So you essentially, like, if you're in like an artifact heavy deck that creates a lot of Thopters or something like that, you pay 7 mana, slap Day of Dragons down, all of your 0/1 Thopters and Whirlers and Claptraps and everything you've created, they become dragons. Yep. You do lose them because you're gonna exile them and they can't come back because they're tokens. But if you have creatures, then they come back when Day of Dragon leaves the board. So it's enchantment, someone kills it, oh man, I lost all my dragons, but here's all my creatures. If you have a bunch of ETB stuff, that creates problems.
If you have, I don't know, but if you had something like Terror of the Peaks.
Mm-hmm. Yep, just ping people as they come in.
There's an enchantment that does something like Terror of the Peaks.
Warstorm Surge.
Warstorm Surge, and then there's like also the giants.
Impact Tremors? Oh, we're Ancient Shred.
That one.
Yep.
That one does something very similar.
When things come in.
Yeah. Things like that would do a lot of
damage.
Yeah,
I also put Day of Dragons. It's in my Yarok deck now. So let's say I get a Scoop Mop going, but someone's got, hey, you can only attack if you have flying. Okay, I'll play Day of Dragons, kill all my Scoot Swarms, and they all come in as dragons. And then when Day of Dragons leaves, okay, I prioritize Yarok's going to come in first. Or they all come in at the same time, but they will see each other. Yeah. So he's going to get double ETB triggers again on everything that re-enters. Really, really great pocket pick if you're not running dragons. Wanted to talk about that a little bit for a second. Some really cool dragons. Avaricious Dragon and Nullspine Dragon are really great dragons that I'm actually not running in any of my decks right now.
Nullspine sounds familiar.
So Nullspine, if you're in mono red, it's great. You have to discard your hand to do it. I got him right here. So Nullspine is 5 red, and he has flying for 7/5. When Nullspine Dragon comes into play, you may discard your hand and draw cards equal to the damage dealt to target opponent this turn. Okay. So if you're in a mono red burn deck, like this would be great for something like Tyler's Perforos deck, where he can easily do, hey, I just did 16 damage. I'm in mono red. I don't have any cards in my hand. I'm gonna play Nullspine Dragon.
Discard my 1 goblin.
Yeah.
And then I'll get
16 cards. Yeah. It's a huge card draw. Card draw is always super advantageous in red. Awesome for burn decks, awesome for mono red dragon decks. Like I know Casey at one point was playing like a Laughless Dragon Queen deck. Yep. Could be cool in Kalia the Vast. Yep. If you're running out of cards. Avaricious Dragon is similar, not as good. It's 2 red for a 4/4 with flying. At the beginning of your draw step, draw an additional card. At the beginning of your end step, discard your hand. So if you're down to that 1 card, 0 cards as mono red decks so often do, you can just give yourself more card advantage. I think that's always awesome. And they're big bodies to count. Okay. Leyline Tyrant, I think, does not get enough credit.
Are we bumping up the number 2? Or is this all in the kind of...
No, I think, this is like a number 2. Number 2 pocket pick. Leyline Tyrant, it's 2 red for a 4/4 with flying.
Good stats, good mana cost.
Yeah, you don't lose unspent red mana as steps and phases end. When Leyline Tyrant dies, you may pay any amount of red. When you do, it deals that much damage to any target.
Yeah.
So I see a lot of people in Clouth decks, especially, or Ramos decks, that don't run Leyline Tyrant. And I think that's kind of not the best, because like if you ever have any mana left over, like count out what you're going to do on your turn ahead of time. Yeah. You get all this mana with Clouth, get the exact number you need in green, and then just store the rest of the red and just say, hey, I'm going to take this much red, and you have more on the next turn.
To me, that sounds so confusing because I feel like you would still have to meet the Clouth requirements with that mana. I don't know what happened after you pass
because cloth can only be used to cast spells.
Yeah, so you would it would
I
be
feel like it would carry that over.
yeah, it's a way to store it, but then like if you have red mana on the field for any reason, just blow people up or get like a chromatic Ori, get a chromatic lantern, get those kind of things, and then just any unspent mana you have right before your turn starts, crack it, save it as red mana, and then if someone dares blow the board, you go, oh, okay, I have 20 red mana stored up on this thing. I'm paying it all and I'm gonna punish you for blowing the board, unless it was advantageous, then you're nice, but you know, it's just, or you can sack it if things get really dire. Someone plays a Kozilek, you're like, oh shit, I don't want Kozilek on the board. 20 damage to Kozilek. Okay, he's dead.
I will say, though, with the Leyline Tyrant, to me, this card has always put me in a pickle. I don't play, well, I guess I do play a lot of combo decks, but the decks that I run that had him in it, it was... He was just like a dragon that just like kind of fit like in my Magna deck. He was in there, dwarfs getting dragons out. He's a good dragon. But when people see that card, they're like, "Oh, he's up to something." I'm like, "Bro, I ain't up to nothing. I'm just playing a 4/4 flying." And then I would always get punished. They're like, "We can't let him get mana. We can't let him get mana. Kill it, kill it, kill it." I'm like, "Please."
I mean, I think it's timing when you play it too. You don't want to play it when your shield's down or you're
especially
vulnerable.
in like a Magna deck. You're already getting stuff out fast enough. Like you don't need the extra target. I guess.
He's better if you need to slowly ramp. He's a little bit of mono red ramp, which can be useful.
I think it's a super fun card. Like, I definitely think people should run it more.
It's a good interaction.
It's fun. People are like, it makes the people at the table have to like deal with it, or they all at least get into a conversation about dealing with that. And that always, to me, makes the game more enjoyable when everybody's like kind of banding together, or they're like, well, hold up guys, we gotta keep like an eye on this thing. That makes it more
and you know it makes the game, I feel like I don't mind losing games to big plays when it was up to me to not miss them. Like if Leyline Tyrant's on the board for a long time and you lose to it, rats. Like I should have. There were too many things going on. I wasn't able to track that, and it's easy to forget. But it's a great card. My number one pick for Sleeper Dragons, World Gorger Dragon. This card is sick. World Gorger Dragon is 3 triple red. It has flying and trample. It's a 7/7. When World Gorger Dragon enters the battlefield, exile all other permanents you control.
Oh, yeah, I know this guy.
When World Gorger Dragon leaves the battlefield, return exiled cards to the battlefield under their opponent's control. So, if you are sitting there, let's say we're playing and Matt has an army of something.
He usually does.
And I'm like, hey Zach, I'm gonna blow the board next turn, and you in a fictional scenario, you're not going right after Matt because that would never happen. You know, we'll switch it. So you're gonna blow the board. Matt has a ton of stuff. You're like, hey guys, no big deal. I'm like, cool. I play World Gorger Dragon. All my shit leaves the battlefield. I look at you. You can deal with Matt's army now, but when you kill World Gorger, now all my stuff's going to come back. It's a pseudo Teferi's protection in red, which is rad if you have ETBs to take advantage of. Like you said earlier, Terror of the Peaks. Like I would run this in my dragon deck to bring it back and then just do a ton of damage. On top of that, it's a 7/7 with flying and trample, which is awesome.
Yep.
And then if it stays on the board for a couple turns, just play some more dragons. You had 6 mana to play it. You probably have the ability to play more stuff.
Your lands.
It does. Oh, does it take your lands?
So this guy is actually used as a.
Yes, permanents.
Yeah, he's used a lot of time because he's a combo piece.
Okay.
You can go infinite with him.
Oh, can you?
If you have like one of the enchantments, black enchantments that reanimate creatures from the graveyard.
Mm-hmm.
It'll target him. He'll come in. His effect will trigger.
All your lands leave.
Tap them all.
Yeah, and then they come back.
Then the enchantment also leaves too.
Yeah.
So then he'll go to your graveyard, putting back the enchantment. You can retarget him.
Oh.
Tap all your lands again. So you float all your mana until you don't need him anymore. Target a different creature. Win the game.
Wow.
So he's usually used.
I was very, very wrong.
He is a very OP.
That's an even better. I don't see him a whole lot.
Yeah.
I
don't play with him. I've known about the combo for a little bit,
You taught me something about dragons today.
No deck has. I've not built a Rakdos Reanimator deck yet. That needs to be as degen as that.
Yeah, as that.
That is how you tilt Matt out of his mind by doing something like that. And we haven't got there yet in the command dudes.
We'll get there. We'll get there.
We'll get there. But,
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it is a very good combo piece.
Yeah, I like it a lot. I was researching dragons for us to talk about. I actually have never played it.
Imagine this though.
Imagine Dragons?
No. Imagine that thing is it's leaving the battlefield, right? And it has its ability on the stack. Someone stifles that. You're fucked.
Yeah, you're done.
We don't really play a lot of cards that do activated or triggered ability counters, but
Void Slime.
if we Void
I've started running Void Slime in
Void
so
Slime's
many
sick.
decks. Yeah,
Yeah.
you just
yeah, I love it. But yeah, no.
Cyclonic Rip.
That would be the that'd be the kind of the worst thing to ever happen playing that card. I feel
Yeah.
Alrighty, I think this was a good talk. I learned a lot about dragons. Hopefully everybody out there learned a lot about dragons.
Hit me up if you ever want to talk dragons. I like them a lot.
Yeah, we want to
Too
know.
much.
We want to know what your guys' favorite dragons are in Magic, and if you're running any commanders that are dragon decks, or a deck that has a commander that is dragon. Maybe there's some other ones that like cheat things in for free, and maybe you're doing your own kind of unique kind of style. Let us know down below. Love to hear about it. If you guys have anything you want to hear us talk about in the future, make sure to let us know down below. We already got requested to have Matt on the show.
Yeah.
If you guys want to hear Matt talk about something, let us know, because Matt does not know what he wants to talk about. So any help would be greatly appreciated.
Have an all. If we can get a third chair in here?
Yeah.
Have
see a
Matt
fight?
on? No. Have
Oh,
Matt. No, have Matt on, and we'll all talk about Liliana Vess. Because she's another person that I love talking about. Her story is amazing.
So I don't even know if Matt knows her story. I think he
No, but
just
here's the thing.
fangirls.
Matt could talk about what he likes about Liliana Vess, and then I can explain it from Melissa.
There we go. But anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching. We got a whole bunch of links down below. There's our Patreon where you can get tokens and access to our Discord, cool stuff like that. We got our merch links down below. Get some Command Dudes t-shirts, sweatshirts, Pondering Thy Orb kind of stuff. They're all super cool. We got a TCG player affiliate link down there. If you want to buy any of the cool cards you heard about today, some of those dragons, go beat up your friends with them. Go click that link, go buy those cards. Helps us out, costs you nothing. Another just cool way of helping us out. And just make sure to like, subscribe to the channel, talk to your friends about it. Say, oh, these super cool dudes. They hate each other when they play Magic, but they have really good conversations. So and last but not least, if you guys like the cocktails, if you're trying them, let me know.
Yeah,
They all
give us more
taste really
cocktail
good.
recipes to try. I've
Yeah.
tried some new things from the podcast already.
Yeah.
I made the gin one at home.
Gin one's delicious.
I hate gin, actually.
And that one tastes great.
I thought it was good.
Yeah.
I mean, gin is basically just tree sweat, but you know, it's pretty good. The cocktail's pretty good.